How many One Piece YouTubers are there nowadays? There's so many. Like, God, man, I've been watching One Piece YouTube since like 2012. 2012, 2013 was when I caught up with the manga. I remember, like, the latest episode was at the end of Fishman Island, and then I had to read the whole thing. And it was chapter 694 that I caught up to. And from that point onwards, I was watching like all the OG One Piece YouTubers. I'd watch the weekly reviews for King of Lightning, Sawyer 7 Mage. I'd watch the Zoro Fanboy live streams, the Jaroshay every now and then. And then soon after then, Roger's Base came along. But nowadays, man, guys like Brago and Morge, they're new, man. Like, they're young. They're young blood compared to the OGs. Sawyer 7 Mage, by the way, straight up, has been reviewing One Piece weekly since before the time skip. Sorry about the mic. Since before the time skip. Like, what? He has a predictions video trying to guess the Straw Hats character designs before the freaking time skip. Like, that blows my mind, that guy. Props to Sawyer. Still strong. Still going strong. Totally Not Mark did it right. Last year, he decided to do his One Piece blind review series, where he started from chapter 1 and he reviewed in 26 videos over like 6 months. One video a week this guy put out of high quality, like 30 to 50 minutes. Some of those videos were 50 minutes long. And he reviewed the entirety of One Piece from beginning to chapter 1000. Like, that's some feat. And to this day, it is easily the highest quality beginning to end review of this epic. And even still, I love the idea. I find it very inspiring that Totally Not Mark did that. But the part that I don't like so much is the blind review. Because One Piece, to me, it's like, you could tell in Totally Not Mark's videos, he was constantly... There's always details that he missed. Like, even though he's got, 20 hours of content reviewing this series, he only covered like a quarter of it. Like, he skipped so many things throughout those videos that if he knew the full context of the story, if he had the full scope and understood where it was leading, he would have paid attention to some of those details. So the blind review is the part that is just like, I would love to see an in-depth, complete review of the series from beginning to end. Something much more comprehensive than what even Totally Not Mark put out. Oh, shout out to Best Guy Ever's like 5-hour One Piece lecture. Have you guys seen that? I'll link that below. Man, what a great video. What a great video. But I want to have like a whole bunch of the cast of characters sitting on this desk behind me. Even if they are just 2D models, I reckon I could make the top 100 One Piece characters. 100 One Piece characters, I reckon. Probably only like 10 or 20 of them would actually be fully realized 3D models, and then another 80 or so being 2D models. Like this guy here. I just cut out a drawing. I copied and cut out a drawing I did of Hachi. And how good does this look? Like, this is seriously, I love this. And like, just having something like that, because Hachi's a fairly minor character, probably not worth the 40, 50 hours it would take to make him 3D. But something like this, so easy. Because before I make a 3D model anyway, I have to draw them in the first place. So it's like, this isn't really much extra work. Just like 2 hours to cut him out and get him standing. So good. We'll have him right here. Is that in frame? Not anymore. But yeah, I wanted to do like a review of One Piece volume by volume. And even if I put out one video a week, that would take me 100 weeks. There's 100 volumes of this series. Anyway, the blind review for Totally Not Mark's video series, like I think One Piece is fine the first time through. Like the emotional stuff's good, like the big moments like Luffy versus Usopp. A lot of people love the Robin's I want to live moment, because when you have a strong emotional charge on an experience, it lasts a little bit longer in your memory. It's more vivid in the memory, and you combine that with a unique setting and some key visuals. Like it's that's why a lot of people sort of cite that as, I think, their favorite moment. But One Piece doesn't become a masterpiece until your second viewing, until your third viewing, until your fourth viewing, until you like go back and you see how elaborately each single piece of this story just fits together, and how much just is so consistent. And not all of it's like foreshadowed and, concretely set up 10 years in advance. That's such a common misconception, right? It's just like, that's just not how a creative mind would work, where people like point to this picture of a color page that Oda did. So spoilers for the One Piece manga right now. People point to a color page of like this, from like chapter 312 or whatever it was. And someone's like, see, look at this. Oda was foreshadowing the events of chapter 1023. And I'm just like, that's not quite how it works. It's more like Oda just drew a cool looking pink dragon, and then 700 chapters later, he found out a way to organically incorporate that pink dragon into the series. And it makes sense. But like, Oda wasn't planning the reveal of chapter 1024 until at least like, the earliest would have been like Punk Hazard, 670, whenever Momonosuke was introduced. Before then, Oda's not thinking, I've got to foreshadow. Like, why would a color page foreshadow a big event for a character that doesn't exist in Oda's mind yet? The point is here, is whether or not Oda had this idea in his head is irrelevant. It doesn't change that it fits very organically into the story, and when that big moment happens in 1023, 4 digits, baby. When that big moment happens, it feels earned because all the pieces that allowed the moment to happen were in place for hundreds of chapters. Well, sorry, dozens of chapters with Shinobu. So it's more like Oda just really understands and remembers every detail of his story so well, and he plants seeds everywhere that he can come back and water until it grows into a great big forest whenever he feels like it. But he doesn't always have to take it in that direction. An example being Sanji's line from in Skypiea, where he mentions in passing that he knows about the story of Nolan the Liar because he's from the North Blue, not the East Blue. And that's just like, Sanji's from the North Blue. But Sanji's extra backstory with his, with the Vinsmokes could never have happened. There was a possibility that never could have happened. And the detail about Sanji being from the North Blue just goes nowhere. Because it's a seed, it's a detail that if Oda doesn't take the story in the direction of Whole Cake Island, it doesn't take away from the story to have that seed there. But when he does do something like Whole Cake Island and he introduces the Vinsmoke and the second backstory for Sanji, it feels a little bit more organic because there's a seed planted from hundreds of chapters ago. But so it's just, Oda's just really good at remembering his setups and being patient with his payoffs. That's all it is. People read so far into the foreshadowing, and I think that actually undercuts the creative genius of Oda. Creativity isn't just planning everything in advance, like you can see the future and just know how things are going to work out. It's understanding everything you've built so far and where that can lead. That's what One Piece does well. And that's the part that can't be appreciated on a blind review. Because frankly, I don't think One Piece really reaches fantastic territory until like Sabaody Archipelago. It depends what you value in this story. If you really just like the emotional payoffs and you like the characterization and the relationships between the Straw Hats, then sure. Stuff like Water 7 Enies Lobby is going to be peak One Piece for you. But as someone who values the world building, the setting, all the different factions, the politics of One Piece, the themes that could be conveyed through the setting, through the powers like we've seen in Whole Cake Island, like we've seen in Fishman Island and Dressrosa. Something like Water 7 and Enies Lobby is just really quite plain by comparison. The setting for Enies Lobby just does not play into the story anywhere near as much as something like Whole Cake Island does, or even Wano does. Anyway, point is, I think it's when you have the full context of One Piece and you know exactly where it's going that you really appreciate every single chapter along the way. And then you freaking remember that this isn't a story that's written all at once. It's written like one freaking chapter at a time over 25 years. One chapter a week. This guy is putting out a freaking... And he just understands, like... blows my mind every time I stop and think about it. Like, sure, there's other stories like this. Like Star Wars is alright. Game of Thrones is pretty highly regarded. The books, not the TV show anymore. Marvel's not bad. I'm a fan of the MCU. Lord of the Rings is 100 years old and still... But, like, what one of these epics is being told one piece at a time? We are getting one piece of this masterpiece every single week, and we have been doing so for a quarter century. This guy just freaking... Some dude... this Japanese man in his mother's basement is just like drawing pictures, and he's so freaking dedicated to this craft that he does it for like 20 hours a day. He draws One Piece, I reckon, 28 hours a day and only sleeps like 4 or 5 hours a day. That's how freaking godly Oda is. Like, I tell you what, like when Oda's family, when they have like Christmas in Japan, they have to have it in his office just so he can see everybody in between his drawing like Kaido's 45th scale. Like, this guy's been writing this one chapter, like, this... Mangaka are built differently, man. Mangaka are just built differently, and only the freaking crazy work culture of Japan could produce such a creative hard worker like Oda. But man, I think just looking at the feat of One Piece alone, the consistent production that builds upon itself and expands so organically over decades for 1,000 chapters, 100 volumes. Just that alone, not even talking about the story, not even talking about what I like about it, ignoring the story, One Piece is already one of the most impressive pieces of media that'll ever exist. It's just incredible. Blows my mind. And then, did you see the color pages Oda is doing for like the top 100 characters? Like, look at this. Look at this. This guy does this like in his lunch break. In his lunch break, in between drawing each chapter of One Piece and writing a story that people think must have been set up for 25,000 years. And he's just drawing pictures like this. Like, this would take me a month to draw this. The layout, the characters, the composition, the color, just the friggin' raw amount of line work you'd have to put down. Even if you knew exactly when you nailed every single line the first time, no mistakes, just first time you nailed it. And I can't believe this shit. Like, how does he have time for this? Like, far out. This is just the most impressive feat a human being has done, right? Alexander the Who? Oda is the great. God damn. I love this story. And I'm not even talking about the story, just the existence of this story. I love that it's possible to exist. Far out, man. Oh. That's it. That's the video. I just wanted to ramble and rant about how amazing One Piece is just for existing. Like, these color pages, this artwork, these characters, these ideas, all in the one place. Like, what? Thank you for watching. Bye-bye.